Jones. I'm going to be talking about commercial banana farming. In Gabriel Garcia Marquez's novel 100 Years of Solitude, he tells a fictional account of a real event called the Banana Massacre. It happened in 1928 in Colombia. His scene starts, something happened that did not bring on fright, but a kind of hallucination. The captain gave the order and 14 machine guns answered at once. The scene ends in a train filled with 3,000 corpses. Although some of the details of this account are fictionalized, the event is a historical fact, and the industry still today is a violent industry. You may be surprised to learn that the banana that you go to as a quick and easy snack actually comes from horrific origins. Once I read 100 Years of Solitude, I did research on the Banana Massacre, and I found out that it was real. So I kept doing research on the industry, and I found that commercial banana farming is dangerous, exploitative, but there are some alternatives. I'd like to begin by exploring the ways in which commercial banana farming is dangerous. So first they use pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, fungicides, which are dangerous to the workers who are handling them. Jones1 Astorga states that dangerous situations and inadequate practices during field work, such as pesticides being splashed on the skin, droplets vaporizing directly into a worker's face and other parts of the body, and other modes of contamination have continuously been observed. These can result in many different types of cancer, skin disease, lung disease, heart disease, and sterility. Aside from physical health effects, there's also mental health effects that are involved with handling these chemicals. L. London states that there's consistent evidence that chronic exposure to OP pesticides, that's organophosphate pesticides, may be associated with affective disorders, especially depression, anxiety, and unprovoked aggressive behavior. He goes on to link these psychological side effects as being caused by permanent damage to the central nervous system. So that means that once these side effects manifest themselves, there's not really much that you can do about it. Commercial banana farming is dangerous to the workers, but it's also dangerous to the environment. The chemicals that are used to treat the crops sink into the soil and into the water around it. And in a particularly illuminating statistic, Jones1 Astorga, who I quoted before, said that the volume of waste produced is double the volume of bananas produced. 1/5 of this waste is requires special treatment. So that just kind of shows the scope of, think of all the bananas that are produced, double that, and that's the waste that's produced. Now that we have discussed the dangers inherent in the industry, I would like to focus on the ways that it is exploitative. So one way, and I think a big way, is the workers who are working with these chemicals and in dangerous situations, like they don't know how to use the equipment that they're provided with. They don't know the harms that they're putting themselves in because they're just not given that information. Tim Rogers, in an article called Unwelcome Exposure, states the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency banned the use of DBCP in the continental United States in 1979 after testing revealed it caused sterility and respiratory problems. Despite the ban in the USA, companies continued to export the chemical to banana plantations in Latin America and other developing countries until the mid-1980s. Nicaraguan workers employed by Standard insist that no one told them the pesticide was a hazardous chemical or explained how to properly use the pesticide. Another way that commercial banana farming can be exploitative is their use of child labor. Human Rights Watch did an investigation into Ecuadorian banana farms, and they found a large presence of children in the labor force. When the children were interviewed, they reported being exposed to pesticides, using sharp tools, hauling heavy loads of bananas from the fields to the packing plants, lacking potable water and restroom facilities, and experiencing sexual harassment. So this is terrible enough in and of itself, but I think that when you combine this information with the information that we learned about how dangerous the chemicals that they're working with and how it's probably more dangerous because they're exposed to them at a much younger age. While this information may seem to suggest that there is no existence of a socially responsible banana, this is not the case. There are alternatives. One is organic. Because organic produce is grown without the use of chemicals, there's no threat to the workers who are working with them to be poisoned with these chemicals. Another alternative is fair trade. Fair trade basically means that workers' rights are respected, people pay a fair price for the bananas, and that means that all of the farm workers get a fair wage as well. One example of an organization like this is El Guabo, a co-op in Ecuador. It started off very small, but El Guabo excuse me, has grown to 450 small-scale banana farmers. Each farmer is committed to improving quality of life for themselves and for their communities. In addition to earning a fair price for their bananas, the co-op receives an additional $1 per case as a fair trade social premium. El Guabo's members voted to spend this premium on education, healthcare, environmental projects, and infrastructure improvements. So you can see why supporting something like that could be good for the people and their communities. Now that we've discussed both the good and bad of modern banana cultivation, and this concludes my speech about the banana industry, we have learned so far that commercial banana farming can be dangerous and exploitative, but there are viable alternatives. In Gabriel Garcia Marquez's novel 100 Years of Solitude, the banana massacre is forgotten, but because of the interest he piqued in me, hopefully we will not forget it.